Hello everyone, I'm Dane Campbell. Welcome back to Change with Dane. I'm recording this on 30th of September 2025 and I want to welcome you back and just hope that you all are having great success in working on and making some of the small changes in your life that you've been wanting to change, whether that's your thoughts or your behaviors. The past couple of weeks, I have been using an example of a behavior that people often have wanted to add in their lives and talking specifically about how to have success in that. So if you remember, I talked about the main behavior of wanting to add more physical activation in your life. And we talked about some barriers that can get in the way of behavior change. And then last week we talked specifically about some potential reinforcers, or maybe how to find the reinforcers that will help you to stay on the path of behavior change and to kind of reward yourself when you see successes, when you're working on changing these thoughts or behaviors that are habitual to you. So I thought what I do today is just talk about an example of getting rid of a behavior that maybe you're doing more of than you want to, or that you don't want to do at all. And the principles are largely the same, but since we talked about an example of adding behavioral or physical activation, or adding, physical, more physical, exercise or workouts or whatever into your life as an example, I wanted to take a minute and talk about extinguishing or lessening a behavior that maybe you're doing, so that you can see that it's possible to do this process not only with your thoughts, but adding a behavior or taking away some sort of behavior that maybe is not bringing you the peace or success that you are seeking in life. So what I was thinking about is something that maybe a lot of us engage in today's society, in the world today. And this might be a thing that you would want to consider doing, or have even tried to lessen in your life, because you've realized that you're doing too much of it, or what you are doing with it may not be leaving you feeling the way that you would like to feel. And that is the amount of time we spend looking at, holding, carrying around, studying, or engaging with our phones or tablets or our computers when we could be doing something else. I realize that for many people, they have to spend a lot of time in front of the phone, which I'm doing right now. I'm recording, or on the computer, because that's part of many people's lives. Many people work remotely. Many people have to have systems, programs, software to do their jobs. So I guess what I'm talking about is that that time that you have that you could be engaged in something else that you're not getting paid for. The time that you spend in front of a screen, scrolling on whatever your favorite app is. I'm an old guy. I'm not so old that I'm on MySpace, but I do use Facebook quite a bit. And some people use Instagram. There's the Snapchat, there's the TikToks. There's all of those things that can pull us away from other alternatives of things that we could do that might leave us feeling a different way, or might leave us having more peace in our lives if we were to back away from that. No judgments on my part. Your discretionary time is yours. You can do with it what you want. Remember, this is just an example of how you can do less of a behavior and use the same principles that we talked about in adding a behavior into your life. So one of the things that I think you're going to need to do is look at the barriers associated with potentially lessening your screen time. One barrier is just that we have to spend a lot of time on our screens, some of us, to get our jobs done and to do life. And when we do that, it's very easy, instead of when we're done with the tasks that we have to do, to just switch over to another tab and see who's posting and see what the latest is and look at all the reels and watch all the videos and do all the stuff that we just do mindlessly without even thinking about it. And so what you may want to think about is this a barrier for you? Is this something that leads you down to spending a lot of time on your devices that maybe you wouldn't have normally? Another barrier might just be boredom. It might be not consciously thinking about what you could spend some of that discretionary time doing other than being on your screen. Because we have these, little computers in our pockets all the time, it's very easy to reach down and grab them out of our bag, our purse, our back pocket, and just start in on it. And so one of the barriers to change will simply be that you have to be conscious and avoid that subconscious reaching for the device when you're bored or not have something else to do. And another barrier to making this change is to having that feeling like you've got to be dialed in and connected all the time. When I was a kid growing up, the connection with other people was pretty limited. I lived in an isolated place, and that telephone that we had in our house that only had a cord that was so long, that was kind of, in a lot of ways, our connection to the world. And now it's really easy to reach out and see what's going on across the world, in another state, in another organization. We can see all these things. And when we step away from that, it can bring some anxiety because we're feeling like we're not dialed in. So that might be a barrier, right? We might have to tell ourselves something different about the situation, that, hey, it's okay if I set down this phone for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half an hour. It's okay if I turn off the notifications, put it in the drawer. I'm not going to miss anything in a half an hour that I can't pick up on once I'm done doing X, Y, or Z, or I've, given the allotted time of limitation that my goal is. So just think about what those barriers could be if you're starting to look at extinguishing or doing a behavior less. And then you need to look at your reinforcers again, right? If you give up the screen time or the allotted amount of screen time, that is your goal, how are you going to reward yourself for that? What are you going to do with that additional time to make yourself feel good, to build yourself, to put those things in play that's going to bring you more peace or success? What are the things that you can do so that it will increase the likelihood that you will set that phone down, or that you'll put the tablet down, or that you'll walk away from your computer after the allotted time that you've given yourself. So again, it's the same principle as if we're adding a behavior. It's just when we're subtracting something out of our life, then we'll need to fill that little bit of a hole, that little bit of a vacuum with something that we want to do or we'll find enjoyable, or that we need to do that we haven't been doing because we've been on our screens so much. So the principles are the same. The idea is that you set yourself up on a schedule, you set the goal, and then you just start working towards it and working with that and seeing how best you can do it. People do this with a lot of different things, right? I talked about screen time, but sometimes, maybe we're drinking too much and we need to find a way to lessen that burden on ourselves, our families, and our livers. Maybe one of the things we do is we are too critical of other people. And so we may want to look at the language that we use in our conversations with others and find a way to say things that are less critical, but listening with more empathy and asking the understanding words. And so that would be eradicating or reducing the amount of criticality that we show to others that are speaking with us. So there's a lot of things that I can think of that I could probably lessen in my life and bring greater peace and success. And I can only imagine that, others out there would have things that if they did less of it, they might find ways to be happier or feel more successful. So once again, it's being intentional. It's looking at the things that you do on a daily basis and just determining if those behaviors are bringing you the peace and the success that you desire. And if lessening one of those behaviors seems like it would impact on that, you can set yourself up on this same type of schedule to learn and create a new habit for yourself, just as if you are adding to something that might help you as well. So I wanted to just have this little discussion with you so you knew that it's possible not only to add new behaviors that can be beneficial, but you can always subtract things as well. So again, I want to wish you success on this journey in change. I want to encourage you to please subscribe, please like. I want to get the word out to more people about these principles so that others can find greater peace, greater success in looking at themselves and finding ways to change small things in their lives that will help them. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to talking to you next week. Take care.